Hi, I'm Shane.
And I'm Alex.
And this is Race Per Minute.
Hello and welcome back. It's time to talk about Williams. The FW44 launched today. Was it today? Was it yesterday at the time of recording, wasn't it? Yes, it was. Yesterday.
The 15th, yep.
They released it with a short sort of 15-minute video, plus some quick release of some photos of them doing their shakedown in Silverstone, because we saw a show car in the actual video, but it wasn't long before we got to see the real thing, which was nice of them, so we didn't have to just speculate on what the actual car would look like in the real. We got to find out pretty quickly. So let's just jump into this launch video then. It starts off with Albon and Latifi. They're kind of like stretching and warming up on a running track. The voiceover talking about sort of courageously addressing our imperfections and all that sort of stuff. It's being presented by George Lamb, who is just a sort of broadcaster presenter, I think. Must be a Williams fan, I guess. And then we get straight into talking to Williams CEO and team principal Jos Capito, who was reviewing the previous season very favourably, talking about how it was a positive step from the previous year. And it does seem that Williams are slowly sort of crawling out of the doldrums that they've found themselves in the past few years. There's always been a lot of talk of we're going to start building our way back up again, and it's never quite happened. Like ever since they I think it was after they had that sort of partnership with BMW. After that kind of came to an end, because I think BMW wanted them to be like a sort of a proper BMW team, like not just sort of Williams BMW. They wanted to have more integration, and I think Frank Williams didn't want that. And then ever since then, they've never quite hit those heights again, apart from that one time at the new regulations 2014. I think they did pretty well. And then after that, they slumped again, and they've not found that consistency. So that's what Williams are looking for here, and hopefully this car represents that. Now, one thing that I was encouraged by with this launch is that it was more of your typical conference room, here's the car, just sort of like generic presentation backdrop. But I did like that this George Lamb guy did ask a good question to start off, which is that he asked why Jos Capito and the team had picked the two drivers that they had, which is a good question, I think, to sort of put them on the spot and say, well, what is it that you want to go forward with these drivers? And we had a little joke about Nicky has to be on the team because they both love Nutella. I really think Nutella should be sponsoring Williams. I mean, that seems like a good sponsor to have on the car, seeing as they're getting
a lot of free press at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, that's just free sponsorship. They should be getting some cash for that. Latifi in his third year in F1 and with the team, and obviously Albon returns as a DTM race winner, F1 podium sitter. What do you make of this lineup for Williams then? I think it's potentially an underrated driver lineup.
Yes, I completely agree. I think Albon coming back is great. It's really good to see him back in the sport. He's clearly missed it, but he's not just sat on the sideline. He's worked really hard in simulators with Red Bull and has been trackside learning about how the team works outside of the cockpit, which I think is fantastic. So he's already spoken about how he's going to take that experience and apply it to his career and how he moves forward, which I think is brilliant. Nicholas Latifi, like they said in the presentation, towards the end of last year, he was really keeping up with George Russell, who is a very highly rated driver. We've seen George in the Mercedes take it to Bottas over a one race weekend. George is a great driver. We've seen him put in great drives. So for Nicholas to match that towards the end of the season, I think was absolutely fantastic. And actually, this Mercedes duo, I do think is quite underrated. It's secretly potentially quite a strong pairing. Got two level-headed drivers. They've worked together. They've driven together in the same team a couple of years ago in a lower series. So they've worked together before. We've already got that partnership. I think it's underrated. Like you said, I keep on saying underrated, but I really do think this pairing could be promising going forward. Especially if the car is anywhere. If it's a little bit better than last year, then great, because they'll be fighting for points every race, and I think you'll see some good results.
And we saw that we heard the classic sort of if it's as fast as it looks, like they always trot out that one.
it got snuck in towards the end. I thought, they haven't said it this year. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, if it's as fast as it looks, I was like, there it is. You've cursed it. Aston Martin 2.0.
But it helps with a launch program like this with Latifi and Albon that they're both quite sort of They're both quite likable characters.
Yes, yeah.
They're both quite endearing, I think. So whereas when you compare this with the Red Bull one, which is a very similar setup, but Verstappen and Perez are a bit more, I don't know what, kind of a bit staid, a bit sort of, a little bit more reserved.
But they've got that corporate image to protect, haven't they? Whereas maybe Williams is that family environment. They're all about that. They've always been about that, keeping it in-house and, keeping that family together. So maybe that's what they're trying to portray in their launch video. Everyone being quite chilled.
Yeah, I think that helped. I think it just helped having two drivers like that are quite likable in that way. They asked them to do the old describe the car in one word. I think Albon's answer was the most accurate when he just said it's blue.
Yes, it was.
Well, yeah, that's true.
You're not wrong.
And then also they have a new sponsor, Duracell.
Yeah.
Which is a good match, really. Battery company.
Power company, yeah.
Yeah, that's a sort of a promising addition to their lineup of partnerships. And that was about it for the video, really. They kept it fairly short and sweet. Little chat with the drivers, revealed the car. I quite liked the little reveal. They kind of they had the car, and then there was all these like tools and wrenches and stuff that were like slowly being drawn towards the car. And it was kind of a neat little concept in the.
I actually would like to talk about that a little bit more, because that was one of my favorite short little clips of the whole kind of launch season so far. It's like a really short cinematic clip. I think it was really nicely done, quite smart, well put together. It wasn't too long, and it had me engaged the whole time. And they showed like the history of the team and the background as well, like the old kind of like big box TV set, which I thought was really cool, because you're respecting your past and now you're bringing the future to life. I thought it was really well done, and it was short. It was short, and if you haven't watched all these videos or like launch videos like Alex and I have, like some of them have dragged on for a long old time. But this 15-minute video was great, and then we had that short little 60-second. This is going to be the car, and there it was, revealed in all its glory.
So technical stuff. Then we saw a show car in the video, but we did at least get to see the real thing not too long after. And it's an interesting look, I think, on the Williams. They have this looks like a sort of very center-loaded front wing. It has a lot of it has a lot of those. Let me just get the image up here again. A lot of those like panes coming in towards the center. Yeah. With a sort of an inboard I think inboard is the way they describe it. But very sort of sleek, long nose as well. And then we have this sort of really big intake on the top. So it's like a lot of people have been comparing it to Alpine, in that they have all the cooling kind of at the top, which allows them to have very much slimmer side pods. And it looks almost Razor-like compared to the Aston Martin, for example, and maybe the biggest side intakes so far. So a very interesting cooling package going on there. And all in all, just another new look, another slightly different iteration on the regulations. So hopefully this is a sort of powerful package for Williams. Anything else you picked up on?
No, I mean, it was like I was just comparing the show car, the rendered images compared to the car we've seen on track today, and there's only tiny little discrepancies, and that's where on the rendered image, the front wing doesn't have any of those like little notches keeping the wing or able to rotate the wing in different places, where obviously on the car itself it does. Apart from that, it looks very similar, which is nice to see the consistency across the two, that what they were prepared to show is what they're racing. But like you said, those side pods, they are wide. They are very wide. And this is coming off the back of the AlphaTauri launch, where they have these tiny little side pods just like swoop down underneath. And the Williams has these, they're quite wide and they go right into the back of the car. So like you said, it's maybe like a fourth kind of design philosophy going into this year. I quite wonder now, are we, we're only on the fifth launch, or this is the sixth launch of the year. We've seen 4 different designs. Do you think we'll see like a fifth or sixth? Have all these teams gone in different directions? It's quite exciting. Yeah, I mean, the only problem is with so many different directions is there could be quite a large field spread for the first couple of the races. Someone's going to hit the nail on the head and others are going to be not so happy.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think it'll be interesting to have those kind of different philosophies and see
Mm.
who's got it right, and then we'll have this rapid pace of development, no doubt, where everyone figures out who's made the right decisions and tries to copy it, basically. But yeah, it's slight change for technical side of things for Williams as well, because they're now going to use Mercedes gearboxes.
Yes.
Whereas they've kind of always resisted that. They've always sort of made their own gearboxes and the like. But now they will use Mercedes ones, and they still make their own rear suspension, unlike fellow Mercedes customer Aston Martin, for comparison.
Yep.
But yeah, just a sign that Williams is being more pragmatic about what it needs to do.
It's being more efficient, isn't it? It's like it's trying to.
There's nothing wrong with wanting to try and do things in-house and wanting to have that kind of technical prowess and the like, but also it takes time to take a team from the back of the grid to fight for, serious points and then podiums and then wins and then championships. Like, that just takes a long time, and I think maybe they're just being realistic about what they can achieve now to help make that happen. And I think, maybe they just want to streamline the process. They're using a Mercedes engine. The Mercedes gearbox is designed to be used with that engine. Make it simple for themselves and use that. So I think that's a smart move. And again, it's a sign that they are sort of bringing the team into the modern era of Formula One, whereas they've always seemed a little bit stuffy, and they've kind of been lagging behind in places. And now they finally feel like a bit fresh and a bit stable, and I hope that it's a sign of things to come for Williams.
Just quickly before we move on to the livery itself, which I'm sure we'll talk about in great detail because it is completely different to what we've seen before. The name of the car is FW44. Were you expecting the Williams team, now with new owners, were you expecting them to move away from that naming convention, or were you sure that they were going to stick with the Frank Williams, the FW?
I don't see why they would change it. Really, it's sort of continuing the kind of spirit of the team. I see no reason to change it. Really,
I think it was nice. I think it's a nice touch to keep it. Not that they even potentially thought about changing it, but I was glad to see
if they had the blessing of sort of Frank and the family to continue using that, or that they just used it and. Don't know if they had to sort of get permission to continue calling it that or not.
I'm glad they did. The bottom line is I'm glad they did, because it shows the heritage, and it shows that actually that family is still there, and they've done a fantastic job over the last God knows how many years.
Let's talk about this livery then. So Shane, very, very blue, obviously. Alex
very
Albon
blue.
was certainly right about
that.
Yeah. Talk us through it, Shane. What do you make of this new livery for Williams?
So, initially, it's launch day. I watched a video and I thought, this is very blue, probably too blue. I didn't like the whole diamond kind of diamond-esque kind of like pattern. I thought it looks a bit busy, and there was a significant lack of sponsors on the side. It's just got Duracell, Dorrington, and then the Williams logo. And that was my feeling coming away from the launch video. I was like, it's quite blue, it's quite busy. I'm not quite sure it's going to look very good on track. How wrong I was, because I've since then looked at the images they released the next day, or the same day, of the track going around Silverstone. And I still think it's very blue, don't get me wrong, because it is. But it does look very good. And I have to eat my words and retract my statement about it looking, well, I wasn't too sure about how it would look, and I wasn't convinced it was going to look good. But now I am. I've seen it on track, and I think it looks great.
Yeah, it's I've seen a lot of comparisons on social media to Toro Rosso. A lot of people saying that it looks like the sort of 2018, 2019 Toro Rossos. I mean, I love the Toro Rosso livery.
They look good.
But I don't think they're all that similar to this, to be honest. Not quite the same shade of blue. And also, the Toro Rosso is very striking. It has like big red stripes down the side and on the end plates of both wings. And plus, it has a really big silver bull dominating the whole engine cover. So, I don't know. I'm not really sure it does look like the Toro Rosso. Social media comparisons to the first SimTech might be a bit more accurate, I think. But yeah, I must say that I agree with Albon's description of it being smart. I think that's a good way to describe it. It's I think it's a considerable improvement on the Poundland Hot Wheels of last year. I really did not like that livery, and it did not grow on me for the whole season, I'm sorry to say. But I do like this. I really like the diamond patterning on the back, and I like the red splashes here and there. It does look a bit like it's lacking in sponsors, like you said, and the front wing in particular looks quite plain. But I don't think it's an actual lack of sponsors, because they do have a good number of sponsors, including Duracell, obviously. But it's just that none of them are all that pronounced on the car. Like, all the logos are quite small and simple. And for example, there's a Financial Times logo on the inside of the front wing end plates, but they're only on the inside, and they're quite easy to miss. You wouldn't even know they were a sponsor unless you were like, oh, there's something on the inside of the end plate. You know, it's all very small and simple and leaves a lot of sort of negative space on the colouring of the car. So maybe it's just a design decision. I'm not really sure, but it almost looks deliberate, because, if you look at the side view of the car, it's just got, whereas a lot of cars will have like sort of a real primary sponsor on that part of the side pod or on the engine cover, Williams have got sponsors, but it's all quite small and sort of deliberately subtle. So it's an interesting one. It just means that there's a lot of space on the car, allows for that patterning and the colour to shine through. Maybe for some new sponsors as well. So but I do like it. I think it's a vast improvement on last year, and nice shade, nice colour, and like you say, it looks much, much better now we've seen the in-person pictures as well. There is one thing that is changed about the car, that they've decided to omit the Senna sticker that they've had for a long time. But that they obviously still committed to their Senna Foundation, and I don't think it really represents anything particularly seismic in terms of their attitude towards the history of their heritage of their team, or to Senna in particular. I think they've just decided to do something a bit different and commit to what is this, not just the new era of Formula One, but a new era of Williams as well. And now that Doralton Capital and the new owners are very much integrated with the team proper, I think they want to cement their new status for the team. And that's fair enough, really. I think that
it's a new beginning.
Yeah, I think it just got to give them a chance to get going with their new setup. So. But I like it. I think this is a good looking car. And the red, they still have these like red splashes on it, but some of them there's still a small bit of that randomness. It's just just some little lines here, which was one of the biggest problems with last year's livery, that it just felt a bit random.
Well, they said the red was to represent it being a British team. Yeah. And I was like, but it does feel a little bit like, oh, they'll just put a little bit of red here and we'll just put a little bit of red there. And that would be the British aspect of it. And I was like, oh, okay. Sure.
It's like it's not so much that the reasoning behind it is random, but rather that there's like little just lines of red in random bits. And it's just, I don't know, it's a bit unusual. It's like they don't, like last year, I think I said the same thing about last year's livery. It's like they didn't want to commit. They didn't want to sort of go too hard on any particular bold colour scheme. And it's just a slightly odd thing to do, but it does look much better. And fingers crossed for Williams for this season, because I think they have worked very hard to crawl out of the doldrums that they've been in, and it would be nice to see them properly battling in the midfield and not feel like when they get into those upper points positions or into the podium that they've kind of got there because they scraped it in somehow. It's we want to feel like they really are competing again. That'd be a good sight to see.
Well, anything better than 8th place will be great. And I know that sounds silly, but let's not stick with 8th, 9th, or 10th. They don't want to go backwards. Let's go forward. And I'm quite positively optimistic that they will make the gains they need. But with another design philosophy again, who knows? Who knows what this year's going to bring? I'm sure we're not even going to be able to make those predictions. Even after the preseason testing, both sets, it'll be race 1 where we start making our conclusions.
And of course, now that they've done their shakedown, we can be confident that they'll be there for testing.
Yes, great
and they
start.
will have done a little bit of reliability, so it's a good sign that they're where they need to be.
Absolutely. Well, there we have it. That was the FW44. What do you think of that livery? Let us know in the comments below if you're watching on YouTube. Oh, I'm really sorry, guys. I just hit my mic. Let us know on the comments below if you're watching on YouTube, and if you're on Twitter, you can follow us at RacePerMinute, and you can get in touch with us at RacePerMinute and let us know what you think of the livery and the design and that red streak. Is it random, or do you think it was properly placed? I think it's got a little bit of randomness added to it. You should visit our website at www.raceperminute.com, and you can also get in contact with us there. Check out our Patreon page there. It's all on the website. If you have enjoyed this episode, then please give us a rating or a like. And if you like what we do, please consider subscribing for more wherever you're getting a Race Per Minute. And if you really want to support the show and help keep the quality content coming and receive some lovely rewards, you can do by visiting patreon.com/raceperminute and donating as little as £1 a month to help keep the podcast running. We haven't got any ads on it, and we like to keep it that way because there's nothing which bothers us more when we listen to other podcasts with the tremendous amount of ads. Like, there's nothing more annoying than listening to a 20-minute podcast and there being 3 2-minute ad blocks in it. And it's like, well, this is actually only a 14-minute podcast. This is rubbish, or this isn't what I signed up for. So that's what we want to try and do, keep this podcast ad-free. So everything you see and hear, you won't be interrupted. You'll just have to listen to Alex and I ramble on about various bits and bobs. But that's it for now. I believe moving forward, we're recording this on the 16th of February. Tomorrow is Ferrari. One of the big boys is going to release their car. And some would say that Ferrari is one of the most highly anticipated cars coming into the 2022 season. They're the favourites to take it to Mercedes and Red Bull. I mean, they were close behind last year, so who knows what they could achieve. Alex, what are you expecting out of their Ferrari launch? Because we've had some variety over the last couple of years, haven't we, with Ferrari?
Well, we already know that they're continuing their trend of just sort of completely changing the name of the car each time. They don't have any kind of naming convention. So that's classic Ferrari. That's a sign of, non-continuity.
Yeah.
But they released pictures of their team kit, and they've got the sort of the black stripe and the new design they got there.
Yeah.
I think it looks great. I really like the look of that. So if the car follows that and has a sort of 90s Ferrari vibe to it, with like a more of a black and red kind of vibe to it, I think that would look really good. So I hope that is what they do. And I understand there is like you say, there's like a leaked image out there, but I haven't come across it. I've only seen people say that it's out there, but I haven't seen it. I'm not going looking for it. I'm happy to wait until tomorrow. But yeah, you're right. Like, Ferrari is definitely one of the most hotly anticipated. Are we going to see Ferrari back in a potential championship winning position again? Only one way to find out, and that's to tune in when the season gets here. But we're looking forward to talking about that one tomorrow for you. And hope to see you then.
We'll see you then.